What's happening, everybody? It's another episode of Cannabis Legalization News. There was something going around the internet this week about how the DEA says that Delta-8 THC is Schedule 1 substance. Well, far be it from the DEA agency to give you legal conclusions. Who can give you a legal conclusion? We will get to that with our lead story, but here's the news roundup for what happened in cannabis legalization news for the week that was August 20th, 2023. So we do have the Delta-8 thing, and then we have a medical marijuana company also slamming the D8 for not the DEA, not the D8, for not being able to get a cannabis license or research permit to be able to do any type of beneficial research. We have some more lawsuits, and this one's in Connecticut. Look for lawsuits in Maryland once that application window opens. Ohio is going to legalize it. Healthcare premiums go down after you legalize it. Minnesota marijuana regulators have a roadmap for their legalization implementation. There is going to be a Poseidon cannabis ETF to shut down. That's too bad. Nice guys. We haven't named that strain. Cannabis firm Tilray is buying 8 Anheuser-Busch brewery brands for $85 million. They also, nope. Tilray might have been the one that also 86th their social equity program. Then we have some more cannabis news that we will get to. So let's get into cannabis legalization news for this week. And of course, joining us is Miggy from an undisclosed location in Seattle. How's it going, dude?
Hello from the land of technical difficulties.
Oh, you're coming in really fine, actually. They have a good quality stuff that's coming in right there. So yeah, nice. Hey, if you guys are joining us for the first time, don't forget to give us a like, give us a comment as well, or leave it in the live chat. We've been having some decent videos that have gone on. One of them was about hemp and the line with THC. That one's doing well. And another one about the unconstitutionality of cannabis, which I guess we're kind of getting to right now, as we have a legally lead story, and it has to do with Delta-8, and it also has to do with hemp. But this one's out of the Ganjapreneur from this week. And like I said, it was going around. This is August 16th. And so recently revealed letter confirms that the U.S. DEA, that's the Drug Enforcement Administration, considers Delta-8 THC that was synthesized from hemp-derived CBD to be a federally illegal, a Schedule 1 substance. And Booze is the guy's name, which is hilarious, that Terrence Booze. Like, is it in support of the alcohol industry, or is it just that people like to boo him? I don't know. Here is what he had quoted. Arriving at a Delta-8 THC by a chemical reaction starting from CBD makes the Delta-8 THC synthetic and therefore not exempt under the Agricultural Improvement Act's. Any quantity of Delta-8 THC obtained by chemical means is a controlled substance, according to him, and then a letter that we can also dig into later. But do you understand what a legal opinion is, or what a legal conclusion is, as like a term of how it is to be a lawyer? Because I do. Many people don't. Yeah.
But like memos and things like that are still like legal precedents, right? This is what these guys...
Absolutely not. It is not a legal precedent at all. And so that's really the most important thing, that it's not a legal precedent. And then this guy on Substack, and it's this dude named Shane Pennington, who also is a lawyer, by the way. He's been a lawyer at several cannabis law firms, including formerly known as Vincente Cedarberg, now known as Vincente. They're decent people. And, don't forget to visit the people that aren't Vincente over at CannabisIndustryLawyer.com. Anyway, let's kind of dig into what he had to say about this on this. And so he just kind of like copy and paste, and then right over there, they want you to subscribe. This is just an email from August 13th, 2021. And so this is the other messed up thing. This is just a hype piece. This isn't real at all, because like this came out on August 11th, 2023. It's like somebody trying to get attention, because this email is from August 13th, 2021. And then do you know what came out between August 13th of 2 years ago and now?
Wasn't there a revised hemp bill?
No, there has not been a revised hemp bill since 2018.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Nope. The hemp bill has not been revised. But court precedent has. And so like
Okay.
it's just a little disingenuous. And like I've seen this going around like on the Strange Show. Shout out to Strange Show. They have way more subscribers than us. Yeah, they do. But like okay, a legal conclusion is something that I lack the capacity to do. Even as a lawyer, I can't give you a legal conclusion. I can give you a legal opinion. As a layperson, Miggy, you can't even give a legal opinion, because then you might get, especially if you charge for that legal opinion, that is what we call a UPL, an unlicensed practice of law.
Okay.
So don't do that. Don't give legal opinions for a fee.
So you're saying I can't ask you if you're a cop?
No, that's not a legal opinion. That is a statement of fact. And so like the statement of facts is different than a legal opinion. But then a legal opinion is like, if I was going to give a legal opinion as to whether or not I think that Delta-8 THC synthesized from CBD rich hemp is hemp, or if it is a Schedule I substance. Now that is something that I can give, but I cannot give a legal conclusion. That legal conclusion is only something that a judge can give. And a judge gave a legal conclusion regarding the legality of Delta-8 THC in or around, let's see here, let's zoom in on that. So we'll just kind of shrink ourselves down. There it is. This is Z case. And I could try to zoom in. I don't want to hang up. But this was on March 18th of 2022 and filed on May 19th, 2022. That is the AK Futures LLC versus Boyd Street Distro LLC out of the United States Court of Appeals, Ninth Circuit. That is a federal circuit that is right below the Supreme Court. So that district court. So like, there's three courts. It's a limited jurisdiction in federal. So you have the Supremes, and then you have the districts, and then you have the circuits. And so this one is out of the Ninth Circuit, which of course is on the West Coast.
Isn't it kind of weird that also you would think, like you said, that it's kind of a nothing burger when it comes to the article itself, because they've been trying to define cannabinoids this whole time, synthetic versus non-synthetic, and we've already divided like hemp versus marijuana, right? That's already been established. So now, shouldn't like anything grown on it?
You have cases like this. Yeah. So cases like this need to come out to then say what it means to be hemp. And then this one did that. This case is not about a bust. This case is not about the DEA kicking your door down. This case is about one company stealing from another company, specifically stealing its trademarks. And so those trademarks had to do with Delta-8 vapes. And the defense was, this Delta-8 vape cannot be trademarked. It's a federally illegal substance. And this Ninth Circuit said, oh, no, it is not. And you know what they used? They used the plain meaning of the definition of hemp. Let's see, it's used 35 times. Where it's a definition of it. There. This is the operative definition currently of hemp. It will change maybe by the end of the year. So they passed this. They cite the law because hemp and marijuana are different varietals of the same plant. The Farm Act and the concentration of Delta-9 set a threshold distinguishing the two. As defined by the Act, hemp includes any part of the plant and all derivatives, extracts, and cannabinoids. So if you derive it, extract or cannabinoid it, and then of course there's also isomers, salts of isomers. So it really is not supposed to mean you take it out, you squeeze it like it's orange juice. I mean, it's isomers, salts of isomers, derivatives, all cannabinoids. Sure. And so if it came out of the hemp plant, it's not, weed. And they granted trademark protections, which you cannot get. So like we just won a cannabis dispensary license. We'll give like an update on that. We can't get trademark protection for that dispensary, or you can't get trademark protection for your marijuana brand. So there's edges around it and loopholes that we can use to get trademarks, but you can't get it for that brand. You can if you're Delta-8 THC. That's what that case says.
Oh, wow. Okay. But is that also going to be applied to then CBD and all the other cannabinoids if that's the case?
Yes, the definition of hemp. Like the only thing that they say is marijuana is Delta-9 THC. So that's one of the reasons why I think the definition of hemp will change to total THC. Fixes the problem. Not all of them.
Yeah. Well, I just, and again, that's such an arbitrary bullshit number thing that defines this plant, defines if you're a law-abiding citizen or not. Just the dumbest semantic, you know.
Yeah, a line in the sand that was made up in the 70s for no good reason at all.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah. So a nothing burger, right?
Not only a nothing burger, but like an attention grab, like something that you
Clickbait.
said simply to get attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the internet. I get it.
Yeah, dude, I just did like a video where I cribbed notes from Clarence Thomas's like standing akimbo case from 2 years ago to support the rational basis evisceration of the federal cannabis laws.
Yeah.
Got some
Yeah.
views though. Got some. You got to check that out. If you haven't checked it out yet, you should. By the way.
Well, that's why we're here, right? I mean, it's this legal process that it's not the process you thought it was going to be when you were 18 selling weed out of the trunk of a car. It's, you know, you think, oh, I'm going to sell weed when it's legal, man. Oh, shit. No, you got to get a license first. Then you got to find some investment, and then you have to find property. I mean,
well, sometimes you have to find the property before you get the license or the investment. And so, like, there's just so many different ways that they legalize this plant because like there's no rule. There's no federal rule. One day there'll be a federal rule and our dispensary will need another license, I bet, from the federal government. But that ain't exist yet.
Well, and that's why I think like you know, these social equity rounds are kind of nice. It's giving more people a chance, like me, whoever's gonna, you know, hopefully you don't get wrong by the business partner or whatever. But you know, like you said, it's been individually legalized in each state, so it's still not a fair way of doing things. But once it does, we'll just be another check mark that we have to apply to.
It forces somebody who was hurt from the prohibition to get money. And so it's a method to get money. Like you're going to get money now because you were wronged by the federal laws or all the state laws because you were arrested in, you know, California and Wyoming. But you were arrested for cannabis, like, you know, joints. You don't go back to Wyoming no more. And so like that wrong is now going to get you money.
Well, what's funny too is I mean, that wrong, the original ones in California changed my whole career with the military. Like, I was eligible
to lie to the military that you only used it 3 times.
Well, not just that, but because I got in trouble during probation or whatever. But the military was going to give me $10,000 plus this like advanced computer school and all these like bonuses because I did really well on the ASVAB test. But once I got my waiver, that wasn't going to happen no more. And I still got lucky. I did electronics, so still did what I wanted to do. But could have been different.
Could have been different. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Speaking of other lawsuits that are plaguing the cannabis industry, we have a story out of Connecticut. Let's riff on this for 5 minutes before it's 20 past the hour in Connecticut, by the way. And so this one's out of the Ganjapreneur. We want to give a big shout out to TJ Brandfault. We should try to have him back on the podcast. He was one of our first guests, and he is still writing the noise over there at theganjapreneur.com. I like how they do their stuff because they have a wonderful quote that you can always go to get from the people that are involved in the story. And so, and here it is. And this is Hertz, which is attorney David Hertz. And I'm not going to say that this argument that he has lacks merit. I am going to say I'm not sure if it will prevail because my legal opinion is not the one that counts. It's the judges. It is therefore unconstitutional and cannot be relied upon by the city of Stamford or its zoning board to permit the illegal enterprise that is every cannabis business, he wrote in the complaint via the Connecticut News Junkie. So they are seeking an injunction to ban cannabis because it is preempted by the Federal Controlled Substances Act. So I am not licensed in Connecticut, but I would like to get pro hace vice status to A, collect on a debt, and then also B, to implead into this on behalf of that license holder to say that, oh, no, actually the federal prohibition is unconstitutional at federal law and it should get out of the way. But they are saying that they can't have their cannabis licenses or industry because it violates not only the United States Constitution, but also Connecticut's, one of which is the social equity aspect of it. And so they call it a scheme, impermissibly selected based on race,
Wow.
and therefore it violates the equal protection provision of the state and also federal constitution. I've brought those claims before, not in Connecticut.
But
I'm not licensed there.
but the race thing though, I mean, like, there's no actual ground that says race, and that's just a blatant lie. I mean, they try and
Uh,
shape it around.
right. And so, like, Maryland actually says if you went to a university that gets a specific amount of Pell Grants, and the only ones
Mm,
that do are the HBCUs. So that's like really closer to the line, but they aren't saying race. And so it's the same thing in Connecticut. They don't say race.
yeah.
Ohio did. It's hilarious. They got immediately struck down. It's like they didn't even want it. And so they just
Well,
said, if you're Asian or black, or all these things, and it got thrown out.
if you ain't white, but if
Pretty much, yeah. And it's like, well, Ohio must have, because like unconstitutional laws happen way too often for them to be accidents. Like the
mm,
legislature kind of knows what it's doing. You get a
yeah,
law in the books, unconstitutional or not, it'll be there for decades.
true, true. I mean, that's just the unfortunate part of, like, even the process. Like, we've won, what, 4 months ago now. We've had this. We won our equity license, and it's just the process. Everything's
Weeks. We won it
yeah.
on randomly on a Thursday on July 13th, where I thought that somebody was goofing me. But no, they were not goofing us. And that's something we'll talk about after it's 20 past the hour, our status on that. We're pretty good. And so when next week, tune in. Well, if Miggy's able to. If not, I'll have Josh tune in. We'll go over the financial deck.
I can't wait. Can't wait to go over financials. So sexy.
Financial decks. Yeah, we have a great guy that does that. But, anyway, this is trying to invalidate Connecticut's law based on violating the federal law, and then also based on the Equal Protection Clause, and say that you're not allowed to discriminate against people's races. That was Connecticut. Wonderful place to have a license. Perhaps having a license is not it's not like just a pathway to money. You don't get a
Right.
license and it's like super money. Woo!
Well, is Connecticut the one, or is it New Hampshire that just like changed their trademark laws? Like, they were trying to. One of those guys, because it's always funny how each individual state is always trying to protect the consumer or whatever they're trying to do. Because one of these states recently said that you can use legacy names, but they couldn't do it before.
Really?
Oh, that's that time.
It's 20 past the hour, everybody. So if you are on the East Coast, whether it's New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, smoke them if you got them. I know we will be.
It was longer.
I love that
was
medicinal
nice.
use. Medicinal use is nice.
It's all legal use.
Oh yeah, our medicinal. I got the email that says don't forget to renew. Ours are good for 3 years here in Illinois. It's a nice thing, but I have to actually get my picture retaken,
Oh, neat.
which I thought was interesting. And you have to renew your recommendation, your certification, every 3 years as well. And so this is the first time since 17 that I had to do it, because it happened in 20 when I was supposed to renew my first time, but because of COVID, they said, don't worry about it.
Oh, crazy that they just won't let you do it again. Like, just, it seems like now we want you to come indoors. Like, just, why can't we just renew it like I did last time? That sucks, dude.
I don't know, man. I really don't. I'm just going to try to get down here and let's talk a little bit. Oh,
Yeah, it's the next story.
that's a bad link. It's not a bad link, but it's a link that is not going to be discussed. And so it just didn't work how we wanted it to. I'll have to reevaluate that. But links, they work until they don't. Anyway, this is one of the ways that we do our stuff. And so we use Google. We run the company over there at Collateral Base on Google. And so if you do want some of that, head on over to CannabisIndustryLawyer.com. Miggy and I have our conditional stuff for that license ready to go and all organized in there. Of course, you're not going to see it, but nor have access to it. Miggy does. I do.
Well,
And then we're uploading it to the system, and then we will email the IDPFR tomorrow, and they'll review it. So we are supposed to be done by August 20th. We are early. That is a good thing to remember. If you are getting into the cannabis industry, get your paperwork done and get it done early.
Always
Always
that
get
way.
the paperwork done. Yeah.
Well, and this is so fun going through the experience with you, because like I want to make sure, because you being a lawyer, I'm like, well, what else I need to sign? Just let me know what I need to do, because it's not
Oh
that
no,
easy of a
we have
process.
some proxies for you to sign and some other stuff.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get you taken care of, and then it will form a blueprint for a little something called socialequityincubator.com that we are going to be launching, and I will not be featured very prominently in it because I am just not the right vehicle for that. But then it's an interesting thing, the social equity licenses, in the sense that and then the limited market states, and then the highly regulated nature. And so you take all the licenses that cost millions of dollars to operate and have millions of dollars of cash flow and highly, like, they require a lot of compliance for security and other aspects. And then you give all those licenses to people that have never operated like that, nor have the connections to access the resources, nor have ever done like a discounted cash flow analysis. Like, it's neat, but then like that's why there's like an 80+ failure rate for all social equity licenses.
Yeah. Well, the resource thing, I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Like on this last round of an incubator where my one friend was scared to join in just because contracts, but really what you have to offer is, we're trying to give someone an opportunity to win a license, depending on what round or thing is coming up, right? Alabama's coming up next, right?
They don't do it. And so like it has to be,
Yeah.
And then it was interesting. I just did some bits, and check out this. We're going to have some more stuff coming on the channel over here at CLN. So if you're from Maryland, smash that like, tune in, as they're going to have a round, but it's their first adult use round. So those are usually a little wonky, let's call them. But they have an $80 million purse for social equity applicants to get them operational. But they actually had a social equity licensing for medical a couple of years back, like back when COVID hit, and none of them were operational, none. And so they get to apply for that pile of money first. And so they're going to give out another 80 licenses, and they're just paying for the ones they gave out 3 years ago. And so that failure to launch usually happens when you don't have that team in place.
Yeah. Well, there's a recent article I read where they're planning on 80% failure rate in some of these new states, and the thing is, resources being number one, but also like we're saying with the opportunity. My one friend was scared, but my brother, who I really hope if he wins, that'd be dope, because all of a sudden you're going to get a chunk of change, and then it's not so much the actual business, because someone else will be doing the big part, right? From the incubator. That's why everybody has a role, right? Like,
right.
You be the license.
But then also, the absentee owner is a normal thing in the industry because of how the capital requirements have worked. But not only that, having equity is not having a job, and so like if you own percentages of companies, very often you own it. You may sit on the board, you may give them like advice, but you don't tell exactly how them to do it. Now you could be a creditor as well, and so like you get experience in all of these aspects. And so there's people that are going to be helping manage the company. There's going to be people that are going to be helping, manage the IP. There's going to be people that are going to be helping manage the debt. It's a fucking enterprise, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, and that's the other thing too, is because then you have big people who sort of supposed like that recent what is it, True Leave? But it's not True Leave, but I think it's a component of them. Whoever the investors, or Tilray, but it wasn't. It was like name of a different, like Tilted Inc. or something like that joint, who just dropped all the equity brands. Which
you sent that to the Slack channel earlier today, didn't you?
It's in the MJ Biz Daily article. But
Tilt.
Tilt. That's it.
They're called Tilt.
But are they a subsidy of one of the bigger brands, like a Curly?
I don't know. And so like that's the other thing with these brands. They are intrastate in the sense that it's very difficult for them to exert interstate commerce, even though some of these brands do. And I'm not sure about this Tilt, but they have yanked their social equity brands and Tilt Holdings, Phoenix-based diversified cannabis company. They've yanked them, but I don't see where Tilt says it's a subsidiary of.
Because the only reason why I say it is because I thought articles with the Heisman brand involved Tilray. I thought one of them was the ones that were promoting it. Which if you just got dropped,
But that's what it says. It says, in doing so, we realized Her Highness and Heisman are not the right fit, and so, but it's Tilt's interim CVO. I'm not sure if Tilray is actually a parent company, perhaps.
I don't know. It's all speculation.
It's all cash flows. That's really what it is, man. It's all cash flows.
Yeah. I mean, this is all allegedly.
Sure
we're just trying to throw some things out there.
Right. Who's the parent?
We should end every show with and it was all alleged.
No. Do that. Juniper Research. Okay, that doesn't sound anything. That sounds like it's a software company.
No, but if you type in Heisman,
a different one that looks like weed.
If you type in Ricky Williams Heisman, you'll find a bunch of articles announcing partnership with him for that brand. So that's why I assume the Tilted is part of somebody else that's bigger.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying that Tilt is what it says right here, and then there's Toast, CEO, founder. Maybe some of it is just raising money for nothing. Let's see. No, they say Tilt is brands in cannabis, 37 dispos, as well as in Canada, Israel, South America, and EU. And then, of course, the Juniper Research LLC is a wholly owned sub of Commonwealth Alternative Care, Scheinbach headquarters. I have no idea who owns them, man. No idea.
Anyways, I mean, that's just the whole
many subs.
But with the equity thing, equity,
this industry gets fucking corporate heavy quick. That's just 37 dispensaries. And we are, again, remember, this was a statistic from last month in Illinois. $140 million, 136 dispensaries. And so if you own 36 of those, that's $36 million a month. That's some cash flow, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I know we can make it happen. It'll be just about what we get back, right? But faith, and we'll keep you involved.
It's about retained earnings and how and what you're supposed to be doing for the good of the shareholders and what they want to do. Yeah.
But we are the shareholders.
For the good of the shareholders, we are going to talk about the Ohio ballot.
Oh yes.
And so, it's official. Ohio's going to be voting on legalizing it in November. That is freaking awesome. And if you're from Ohio and tuning in, so are you. I'm really stoked. Ohio they have a good number of dispensaries at 144 that have been issued because of their medicals. They haven't all been opened yet, but here's the nitty gritty of it. Advocates collected the 127,772 signatures that they needed, which was more than the 124,046 signatures to get on the ballot. There you go. And they got a 10-day notice. And so they were 700 signatures short, and then they got a 10-day notice.
That's right. And you know what though?
Notices are in the cannabis industry all the time.
But that's unfortunate, right? They're always trying to control.
No, it's good. It's called due process. You will get notice and a reasonable opportunity to respond. So that 10 days is a reasonable opportunity to respond, and you got notice of it. So we're going to give our app to the regs, the regulators, and they're going to be like, your paperwork is in order, or we need to see this. And then they'll give us 10 days. But then there's a 60-day grace period to review. So they may just email us back and forth for that 60-day period before hitting 10 days. As regulators are not supposed to create any undue burdens. They're supposed to administer the system.
Allegedly.
No, that's you can build this into your statutes. We can help.
No,
don't forget.
I was just say here in Washington, watching how from the beginning of the rule process and then the transition, so many people lost their asses just because when you switch gears in the middle of one momentum financially, a lot of people lost out. And now, though, it seems that we've plateaued kind of sort of with how the rulemaking is going. So, but though still, I see you're pointing out our Facebook page. Recently posted an article. There was a raid on an Indian reservation. I
Oh,
believe it's called White Earth.
mhm.
But I posted it to that Facebook group if people want to check it out. It's in Minnesota, a tribe in Minnesota that, again, sovereign nation, sovereign land. I don't know how the logistics of this uh, is still
Well,
okay that they got
the
raided.
DEA is not going to be enforcing their rules over there, are they? Can the
No, this was
DEA
a
come
state
on into
raid.
sovereign land? State
This was
raid.
state,
Oh,
yeah. So, and then here in Washington, we had a raid too, but it was our governing body, the Washington State Liquor Control Board, raided an unlicensed shop down in Tacoma. So, some enforcement I understand, like that one. You're working in a state that unless you actually have medical guys and doing the medical premise and doing all the rules of that way, you're screwed. But the pot shop on the nation on sovereign land, that should have been safe. So I don't know what's going on in Minnesota, man.
that's the
But
thing, because like that's one of the biggest loopholes. And so you hear the sovereign nation they call, but then like I just then they don't typically become clients. And so like they're everywhere, and then they always want in, and they're always like leading the charge, which is just amazing. And so they're gonna like it, good, get some money. Why
yeah,
aren't they considered social equity? Shouldn't that be like wrapped into the system? And because like that's how veterans typically get in, and that's also how like BioTrack THC got into Illinois. It's called rent-seeking behavior. You write
mm.
yourself into the statute, and then it's like putting money as time goes forward.
Well, here in Washington State, the state actually did. They have a negotiation, a treaty with the nation here, as far as competitive prices go. So I never heard of any other state doing a treaty with any of the tribes in their state. So I never understood why they kind of asked for permission to grow either hemp or even cannabis, opposed to like what alcohol has done to not
Correct.
just the
And then let's
people.
let's talk about that. There's a
Yeah,
new story that we have, and this one isn't trending. And it is an ironic shit I wasn't expecting. We're about halfway through, and then so we'll hit a name that strain maybe in about 10. So let's hit a bumper now and go to this
yeah.
story out of normal.org. Shout out to Normal. They're the shit. You should give them money. And there it is. Analysis following. Analysis out of normal.org. Healthcare insurance premiums don't go down after medical cannabis legalization. Go frickin' figure. This is from Normal. They sent out a press release on August 17th. Medical cannabis legalization is associated with a reduction in the average cost of healthcare premiums, according to data published in the International Journal of Drug Policy. So,
All use is medical use,
legalize it
right?
for medical use and watch healthcare premiums go down because you're less at risk.
Yeah. But it's to have a holistic option. Why not try something that you actually have an endocannabinoid system? Why not try and see your anxiety, pain, whatever it is that's treating, it's a multifaceted plant, but you have to
I
give
get
it a
it.
chance. Yeah.
Well, here's why not. Because if it was legal nationwide for medical purposes, they would conservatively expect to see a savings of $16.8 billion a year in healthcare premiums. Now, that's
Yeah.
interesting. So you're telling me that think about all the costs of the cost of enforcement of the law and all their arrests and whatnot. And so if you can save on those, you still get an additional almost $17 billion of healthcare premium savings because people are less at risk.
Well, it's funny. We don't think about whenever they figure out the factors of what this drug war is as a cost us. Most people don't consider that, right? Like it would be a medicinal option for you, a wellness option first. So it would save our economy. It would save our, people, our aging, community, and to have an option to just live better. And then, like you said, the cost of law enforcement, and then perhaps the incarceration itself. I mean, there's so many things that any prohibition will just benefit our society, right? Like we've seen it in
Totally.
other countries, right? You know
Well,
what? We
we
didn't
really
put in
haven't
our
seen in
Slack.
other countries. We are kind of like the country leader in cannabis. I mean, there's like Portugal, sure,
I would
but
say
then
Portugal. Yeah,
it, they don't really have a market though. Like we're the leaders in adult use commercialized cannabis.
as you're saying. Well, that's
Yeah.
as far as like the leaders of having an industry, but when it comes to like the wellness of like just the citizens.
There is a public policy argument to be made about the way to legalize it, like Europe's legalizing it, especially like if you look at Germany and or one of those smaller countries in Europe that would legalize it just for personal consumption, like just for medicinal use by yourself, but ban any commercial aspect to it. So that kind of like goes back to how Michigan started to do it, like way back in the day, in like 2008 and shit, or even before. It might have been 2006. But you know, should you have non-commercialized medicinal use for the cannabis plant? I think yes. And then can you have commercial adult use? Of course. But why
yeah,
would medical cannabis use then be different than regular drug use, like pharmaceutical legal drug use? Where go watch the evening news tonight, everybody. You will see a commercial for Ozempic with a lady who is battling gravity and also diabetes will be dancing, and you'll wonder, like, how is that lawful? That is, we're okay. We can make them unhealthy and sell them a pill, and then they'll be dancing their asses off while they watch the local news. Oh shit, they're smoking a flower. Arrest them.
well, I just love the commercials too that have a disclaimer that includes death or some sort of bleeding internal. You're like, what? Why is this legal? Why is this FDA approved? You just say shit real fast at the end of the commercial and everybody's okay. I mean,
I guess. Oh yeah, I know why. I know it has to do with money. So in
yeah.
money news, we will do some money news then. In money news, Poseidon cannabis ETF shuts down after less than 2 years from its launch. And so this was on August the 14th. Advisor shares Poseidon Dynamic Cannabis Exchange Traded Fund ETF, which is managed by Paxia, sibling founders of California-based hedge fund Poseidon Investment Management, is shutting down less than 2 years after launching. Now, this is only because the ticker was down nearly 90% since it launched in November 21 on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol PSDN, declining from $9.33 to $1.
I just always find it amazing how people manage to raise money over bullshit. It's like NTF stuff, or
Oh, okay. There is theory, and so this is like getting into like the management of company and like investment stuff. And Slobodan's really good at this shit, and so
mm,
we have a nice team. But so do you support the valuation model of growth, or do you support the valuation model of value-based investment based on cash flows and their discounted analysis? And so like
mm.
that type of shit is what we'll be discussing at the
Yeah.
board or at Brax. It's be fun.
but really, it comes down. There's a lot of like the cash flow thing. Again, it's about resources, right? Like this is
Like
why a
Amazon says that they're going to grow, and so like we're going to spend more money, but we're going to be growing our canopy under management, so it justifies it. And if that's your thesis for the industry and it's wrong, you're going to have these types of things where you're going to spend $1.5 billion to make $1.2 billion, and then you're just going to get throttled by the growth because it moves in cannabis time. Like
mm,
cannabis, especially illegal cannabis, is not Amazon or Facebook. It's not
yeah.
code, you know?
No, I mean, definitely. I think like that ETF failure, you just have companies that are still trying to branch that in between, and it's kind of hard to do until it's federally legal. You can't have this consistent blockchain or established because it needs to be
Because it's
recognized.
money laundering, because it's literally money laundering. Like there is like, we could be like, and I hate it. Like, like we have the little disclaimer at the beginning. And it's like, sorry. But you
Yeah.
realize that I think that as soon as we become operational, um, we will allocate a fund for the payment of IRS taxes that will be due because we're a dispensary, so we're going to get spanked,
Right.
bro. But we're a C corp, all right. And so we will then open up an account if we can, in interest-bearing fixed income that pays us 10%. And so if the IRS comes after us, the penalties are 6%. So we're already ahead 6%. Then we will hire lawyers, and then those lawyers will be paid out of this fund of unpaid taxes.
Hey.
Dude, I've been waiting for this for a minute. Anyway,
But
speaking of waiting for a minute, should we get to
yeah.
name that strain? Or
Oh yeah. Bang,
let's go ahead.
bang.
Like, yeah, but you got stuff to say.
Oh no, I just can't admin nothing here, so I'm just.
Oh, that's
Dude, I've been
right.
smoking this
How's your
goddamn thing for a
battery?
week.
No shit.
I'm on 83% right now.
Oh, you're good. And so yeah,
Yeah, we're solid.
Nick is on 83% battery.
Yay. Yeah, I'm on my phone, by the way, people.
Let's guess weed. Yeah, he is. And I'm in the studio. And not only that, I got one of these cameras.
Dude, I love the Care Bear.
It'll follow me around. Oh, that somebody wanted. So that was put here on purpose. Somebody said, "I want this on the show," and I go, "No problem." It'll happen some particular Sunday. I might not tell you because I have no idea who made it.
Yeah,
but anyway.
I want to say thank you to Washington Bud Co. Dude, this is
was
14 grams.
Wow.
I've been taking this damn thing for a week now, but I finally was like, I just gotta
14 grams is a half O cigar. Like I saw cigars today. I'm like, I haven't had one of those in like a year. But it's really hot now, like in Peoria. It'll be 100 degrees for the next week because that's what happens in Illinois, August. And then you know what else happens? We guess weed on this podcast. And if this is your first time joining us, right. If you're your first time joining us, Miggy will do the music, and I will remind you to like and subscribe, and say, "Boy, have you lost weight? You're looking fantastic." Okay, let's guess some weed. That's the strain we're going to name.
Oh my goodness.
She is a pretty strain. If you're tuning in via audio and driving, I apologize because you're missing a very pretty strain. This one does look like it's a fresh cut, and so it has not yet been dried out, but ready to be harvested. Looks indica-y. Look at that. It's got that golf poly. Yes, it's got a lot of the frosting, and then the kind of golf ball size, or like the ball kind of round, compact nugget structure that is prominent in Kushes. But this one is interesting, and so hearing about it, and so it's bred by House of Cultivar. That is its breeder, and this is a cross. This is a cross between Grape Pie and Thin Mint GSC. So there you go, a Grape Pie and a Thin Mint GSC. We definitely have some indica lineage in that, and you can see it in its bud structure. And it also looks like if you grew it in just the right way, you'd have some severe purpling on your hands.
I just think that'd be like a trimmer's nightmare, right? Because they're gonna be all sticky at the end. Everything's gonna be all gummied up.
Well, the trimmers are going to have gloves on, and then in theory, they should only be coming into contact with it after it's, because you don't want the chlorophyll getting on everything. I might be biased, thinking that you don't want the chlorophyll getting on anything if you trimmed it that wet, but I wouldn't trim it wet. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me. But let's see if we actually got this one.
That's a Seattle brand too.
I have to first look at what the name of the strain is. Okay. Interesting, everybody. That's what it is. And it is a hybrid: Frosty Grapes, Pie, Slurricane, GSC, Master Kush, White Rhino, Cereal Milk, Frosty something or other. Looks like a cake. He is right. The cake parents are definitely there. The cake name is not in it. And so let's go back to the name, and I'll look at the name. It is a baked good, but it ain't cake. You can find it at Starbucks. And again, with its parents being like Grape Pie, sounds like it's gonna have that purpling with that berry, kind of like, you've smelled it. Like I really like it. Reminds me of Point Break. I just think because it has the same type of aroma. Not that I've gotten to have this strain. I mean, it sounds great. House Cultivar. And let me just go check and see if we got somebody. Baked Pie, Cookie Kush. All right, I think we can wrap up this Name That Strain by adding this one to the stream and then saying, oops, let me just go to the actual leafly on it, and we can go from there. There we are,
Beautiful.
sugarberry scones.
Oh,
And so the sugarberry scones is the answer. If you went with that, great work. Is a hybrid strain, genetic cross between grape pie and Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies. 22% THC on estimations, and it is ideal for experienced customers, they say, of course. Creative, focused, and uplisted. It helps with depression, anxiety, and stress. Bred by House of Cultivar, features flavors like butter, honey, and vanilla, and the dominant terpene on that strain is caryophyllene. Check out some sugarberry scones, everybody.
what do you think about like whenever you say like this plant is good for like stress or something? I think like it just varies because of our endocannabinoid system. You know, like some
Oh,
people,
I disagree.
you
I
know,
disagree for the same reason why you can say that take this Tylenol, it should help with
mm,
fever reduction and anti-inflammation. And so,
yeah,
like the caryophyllene, the myrcene, the terpinolene, the limonene, the THC percentage, the CBD percentage, the micro, cannabinoids as well in there, all of them do something. And so then if you have it fairly standardized in the sense that you know which strain you likes for what you're going for, it becomes easier because then you can look at that strain and be like, oh, it's related to these plants and it has these particular strain terpenes and stuff. So
I get you.
I think it goes to that,
Yeah, no, 100%. I totally get it. I totally get it. It makes more sense
But
thinking
that's
about it
one
that
of the
way.
things that we're going to do at the dispensary is we're going to have a scholarship, and so like there's going to be benefits for
Very cool.
being an employee there. Well, you have to understand how taxes work. I'll explain it to you as you get more of these benefits as well. And one of them is that you can pay these benefits and not have to pay as many taxes, especially if we win that case to invalidate the legality of it. But anyway,
So
it's
what
just an offset.
when we do open our store, what I've learned is if we do have cigars, so this cigar came in this kind of cool little stem thing. Yeah,
Those
that
will
thing
go.
sucks.
They'll be here eventually. I know some guys. We could probably buy $100,000 worth of them, because like they do. I think I've seen that. I'm not sure if they're shipping, but I can call Ambrose and be like, "Dude, you got that?" And we can have him on the show. Be like, "Hey,"
I,
because like one of the things that we're going to do to maybe like put some money up before we have to get done is that we would try to sell some shelf space,
yeah,
because if like 10% of our shelf space is worth $350,000, you could sell it for $200,000. And then if you sell that now, it's like, look, we're going to buy $350,000 worth of your product if you loan us 200 grand right now. And then that helps us get open without having to give up as much control. And also it fixes their problem, because you know what the number one problem with like raising money for the growers is, especially if
mm,
they're pre-revenue, they're pre-revenue. And if they make that deal with us, they ain't pre-revenue no more. They got revenue. We're going to buy that shit. Thank you for the loan. And then we're going to go get
okay.
operational. And then you tell us when we're going to supposed to put that on our shelves.
Well, I think
Yep.
this will just be a little excessive though. This is just kind of like a novelty item. It would probably if I were to buy this in the store, it'd be like $100. And
Yeah,
you
but then
know,
like it's one of those deals where we don't have to buy only that. I mean, they're going to have a mix of products, and so you just
yeah.
buy their mix of products, and then they would be the featured craft grower for the month.
Ooh, that's a great idea. I like that.
Oh, dude, just give them away. That's all right.
Future
We'll get
craft
open one
grower.
day. Yeah,
One day.
one
We got any
day.
more stories?
We can keep tuning
What
in.
up,
Of course,
Chad?
we'd have a sup, Chad. Hopefully, you're holding things down over there. Oh, hey. One of the things that we should probably have, and we're just hitting up Entrepreneur all the time. I just wish that we had like a record, like that needle, like like where the record drops and it makes
It
a little like
stops.
squish. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming. And then it's out of the
Oh yeah.
Entrepreneur again. We've been representing them big time this week. Alabama medical cannabis licensing on hold again.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, after a judge granted another temporary restraining order on Thursday, after several companies claimed the regulators had violated the state's open meeting laws. Can you believe that noise? But Alabama is one of the worst, most corrupt, rigged. Like, this is everything that's wrong with medical cannabis, where it's just so limited. It's just so limited that the only thing that happens is people fight about it. And then they gave out so few licenses, and they made those licenses apply to only so many people. So like they're just telegraphing the big rich person, and it's all a pissing contest for who's the wealthiest, that you're going to bleed
Yeah.
money on this for years, and then you're going to probably have a True Leaf-esque monopoly because you were able to lose the most money. So like this is one of those deals where if we can just get open. It's not that much.
Right.
These guys, it's like, give me $20 million just to bitch,
Well,
bitch and bleed everybody so that we can get open, and they can't, and then we have the monopoly.
well, you got Mississippi too going on, so I imagine those two are going to have a little bit of a race to the stupid contest. But with Alabama, these rollouts that are coming out because they require like the medical side of things. Here in Washington State, we did it like a libertarian type thing. And Oklahoma did the same thing until they actually created some sort of weird governing board, which I still don't get the validity of it. But it's kind of, could they roll it out in like a libertarian fashion, saying it's legal now, we don't need for a medical permission to be like a collective
Medical
garden
still
or
is
any of
about
that shit?
30% of the market share in a state, unless they like actively stamp it out. And so I wish that we could sell medical too, and then
Right.
there's just no way that the people that have the medical licenses would ever agree to that, because they got this thing and they're not giving away for nothing. And that's all right, because that's Illinois. There are rules.
Yeah.
Sometimes they benefit particular people. But
Then that's
here's
the thing.
another
Sure.
story. Let's see how Minnesota is going to roll it out. The regulators are
Don't
starting
you
to
know?
talk. Don't you know? Yeah. So you can buy cannabis with hot dish, and so the OCM, they're going to also have an office of cannabis management, and they're trying to get the word out. They're going to assess the business needs and evaluate. Great. I need to start going to these things. 16 different types of licenses, lots of testing. It'll be interesting to see how this kind of comes out. 51-member Cannabis Advisory Council. That is a lot of beaks that need to get wet, and people that are going to be
Yeah.
trying to
Wow.
curry favor under,
Wow.
which
I
is
mean,
interesting.
yeah. What state is this again?
This is Minnesota. And so like, hey,
Jeez.
Minnesota, call us, eh? Wait, I'm sorry, you're not Canadian, but we'll be visiting. We're going to be in Minnesota twice at least next year, but we should have events there where we try to help.
What's the
Nothing,
population
bro.
in Minnesota?
Just after this, you get done with this. Are you tuning in for Delta-8 right now? Totally. Way to do. That's nice. But don't forget to like go back to the beginning of this. And so the first 10 minutes is all about Delta-8 and why it was this Minnesota article is like better. That's why.
Oh yeah. Delta-8 was much ado about nothing. Minnesota's governing is weird, man. 54. It sounds like, was it like a third of the population? I mean, that's a huge ass council though. To like
no, the population of Minnesota is 5.7 million, and so they're going to have transition in early 2025. That's good, because there's like 16 different types of licenses. And so here we are. Rules. A year of rules. Welcome to the year of rules, Minnesota. We will be doing stuff about the Minnesota rules, eh? And then we'll also play some hockey, and then we're going to have a hot dish. But I shouldn't tease them. I mean, some of my family.
Is the hot dish like the weird fishy shit they eat?
No, that's the lutefisk. And so the hot dish is just a casserole. Do you have casseroles in Seattle?
I love casseroles.
Just ask
it. You don't get this girlish figure by not having a casserole once or twice. So.
Casseroles are good, especially if it's -20 outside. And then there's going to be a coordination with the Minnesota Reviser of Statutes. Oh, they might shave some things. Intent of a public adoption in 2024, late 2024, so about a year from now. Public comment, great, 30 days of public comments. 14 days from that, public notice of adoption, spring of 2025. Governor has option to veto. Okay, so you're telling me that we're not going to be doing an application round in Minnesota until spring 25? They got time to get it done, but they got time to get it done. And so come on, man. You legalize it, and then you say, we'll do it. We'll get to it in 2 years, eh?
But it seems a very like middle America type thing. Even though I'm like, we'll worry about the rules later. Hey, you got your weed, you get your wacky tacky, you get your devil's lettuce. We're not sending you to jail no more. We'll just get the rules out later. But that's what the thing about cannabis though. When you give this kind of pass to people, they take it upon themselves to create the culture and the infrastructure that's going to eventually even be there. Somehow they have to figure out how to squeeze that out. But in this end time, it's solidifying itself without actual rules. It's going to happen no matter what.
It will.
Yeah.
It will. And what are we going to do about that? That's really the thing that I want to know.
Yeah.
So one of the things is, let's not all freak out, man. Let's not do that. And here's why. Because marijuana use is not associated with elevated risk of heart attack. That's right. Normal.org coming to the rescue again. Normal. That's NORML. If you haven't donated to them, you should. You can find us over at the NLC. I really want to go to their Aspen or Key West conferences one day, and with your help, I will be financially stable enough to do so. But normal,
Right.
they say the marijuana use not associated with elevated risk of heart attack. This is out of August 17th.
Very cool. I mean, and again, I
Here's the sample
still wait.
size.
Willie Nelson and
Mm-hmm.
Cheech and Chong and any other old stoner, just wait for them to croak.
They usually do in their 90s, which why that's not noticed. It's like, you realize they live into their 90s, right? You're like, what? Like random accidents kill you by your 80s. But
Seriously.
yeah. And so look at this, though. Look at the size of the sample. 10,000 middle-aged subjects from 35 to 59. That's prime widowmaker age. And so compared to non-users, current cannabis consumers that had used marijuana monthly for the past year did not possess a higher risk of heart attack after researchers adjusted potential confounders, aka meaning physical activity, BMI, alcohol, and cigarette use. Those who reported consistent monthly cannabis use for the past decade also posed no greater risk. That's right. Don't forget to work on your confounders before you say what a stat is.
Got back to the Minnesota story. Someone was saying in Minnesota you can gift cannabis, but what if I own a business? Can I gift for supporting my business? Is that kind of like back to the
That's
world
not
$25
gifting, that's
t-shirts?
selling. That's
Okay.
not gifting, that's selling. And so, like, you're going to get into an issue, I'd say.
Well, like I
if
said,
you
the
try to
DC
do that.
model, right? Where you can get like
Yeah.
a $25 sticker.
Right. And so it's one of those $25 sticker models where it depends on the appetite of law enforcement.
Yeah, exactly. And also I think the appetite of the citizen is willing to do that, right? To stand for that.
Yeah. I'd say that's circle gets the square on that one, man.
All right.
But that's it. That's our show for the day. You can find us over at cannabisindustrylawyer.com, or that's if you need to talk to me. You need the memes and then the good stuff for the vibes. Go on over to our Facebook page. You will be asked if you are on drugs. It'll be facebook.com/freethc and be like, no, I just want to see some memes and get some updates as to cannabis legalization news. That's who we are over there. You can also follow us on Instagram at Cannabis Industry Lawyer. And wherever you get your podcasts, cannabis legalization news. The next thing is you can go get, if you want to get into the industry, here, I'll link this out to you. How to win a cannabis license. We've won several of them. Here's how you do it.
He's done it. He's doing it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for joining us into the madness that is this podcast. And then I'm going to be clicking X here in about 2.5 seconds. But first, there you go, kids. I'll see you next week. And then we'll let you know if once we get that conditional license, we'll share that with you.
Yes.